Ladies and gentlemen, boys and NBs, welcome back. Today I wanted to take a minute and talk about something that has really been chapping my ass. I wanted to talk about Cenk Uygur, or Shaky Gurga as some may call him, and the Young Turks. I wanted to put together a list of things that Cenk has done, primarily in recent months, to expose that he is not the supposed god of the left he so smugly calls himself, but rather a right-wing grifter with the energy of a sleazy used car salesman. Please like the video and subscribe if you are new here. We've been seeing a ton of growth since the channel's pivot to a much broader range of subjects, and I love interacting with you guys in the comments below. One last thing before we get into this, it was extremely hard to source clips for this video as the Young Turks no longer leave their VODs up from their old shows, and obviously do not post anything that would make them look bad. I did want to shout out the YouTube channel of the Vanguard. Those boys are alright, as without their work as essentially the expose channel for TYT, most of this information would have flown under the radar, making it much harder for the creators who have left the network to tell their stories and not have Cenk and Anna lie and obfuscate what actually happened. Alright, let's get into it. The Young Turks started as a radio program 23 years ago, and since has grown into a multi-million subscriber YouTube channel with numerous other channels in the hundreds or even millions of subscribers to boot. Failed runs for president and other offices of government, though TYT has done a lot of great work in the past, over the past couple of years, and much more so in the past few months. Cenk and Anna, the hosts of the main show and owner of the business, have exposed themselves as not only being massively out of touch, but have also made it hard to not see them as merely right-wing grifters.
Senator and presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is now retracting his endorsement of California congressional candidate Cenk Uygur just hours after offering it to him. The 2020 presidential candidate from Vermont received immediate blowback over Uygur's past homophobic and misogynistic blog posts.
I want to start by talking about Cenk's union-busting attempts throughout 2019 and 2020 as, and I quote, the home of progressive news media and calling their offices the rebel headquarters. You'd think that a business like this would be all for unionization of its workers. However, that's not the case, as Cenk did everything in his power to stop unions from forming. I did want to show some news articles from the time, but when you Google this, you get news article links from everyone from Politico to Huffington Post, and every one of these links has been removed and lead to page not found errors. I was able to find a singular article talking about the issue, however it was in defense of TYT and Cenk Uygur. This genuinely makes me think Cenk got a bit litigious, or at least threatened to do so, forcing these media outlets to remove the stories and hide the evidence. Let's see what Cenk has to say when confronted in 2025 about union busting on his own show.
For a second there, I thought you might be an independent, but you're definitely not an independent, a Democrat, or Republican. The one thing you know is I'm a bag, but that's where we got stuck. Okay, I don't know what you're for, brother.
How do you feel about? By the way, you're so pro your worker, right? Then why is your ex-staff accusing you of being a union buster then?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll answer all these, even though so this is just random.
Are you a union buster?
No, I'm definitely not a union buster. So
well, there's evidence that proves otherwise, though.
What evidence? All right, brother, you've had a nice run. Bye-bye. Okay.
The Young Turks staff that worked behind the scenes was able to unionize toward the end of 2020 after a long, drawn-out fight with Cenk. However, the on-air talent was not given the same rights. I'm assuming it's due to being paid on a per-view basis of sorts. We know this is the case as both Hasan Piker, Cenk's nephew and former TYT contributor, as well as Benjamin Dixon, another TYT contributor, have spoken out about about this since leaving the network, with Hasan Piker saying once that when I worked at the Young Turks before I started streaming on Twitch on my own, I was living in a kitchen of a 2-bedroom apartment with 4 or 5 other people and eating nothing but Burger King Whoppers for protein because I was too poor to afford real food, plus we didn't have a working kitchen because it was my bedroom. Before going on to state that he was making less than $40,000 a year, this is paraphrased as it would take actual weeks to find this statement on Hasan's channel. Benjamin Dixon, in his expose video, went on to talk about the poor pay and working conditions, but also potential contract violations as he was hired to make content for Facebook and Facebook only. His work and content was taken and posted to the various YouTube accounts that TYT has without Dixon seeing payment for these views. As for Hasan, he actually was forced to leave his job at TYT as he was told by his uncle Cenk that he was not allowed to stream on Twitch when off work as his view count was competing with TYT's, and Cenk was worried Hasan may steal the network's viewers. Turns out Cenk should have been worried, as that is exactly what has happened.
That was a defining moment, as you put it, on one aspect of it. But when you graduated college and you weren't certain what you were going to do, what was the first job that you had?
I worked with my uncle.
Cenk?
Yeah, exactly. But I started working with my uncle, and look, I think it might be a little Turkish of him to do this, but he definitely took advantage of the fact that I was his nephew in terms of, the pay structure that I worked
So you
under.
definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
Exactly. They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left. But there was definitely a little bit of issues there as well, and I think that was my third final radicalizing moment, I guess, was I had this IP. This intellectual property of the show that I built out of for free, that I did because I wanted to do it on the side. It's something I wanted, and I knew they were not gonna originally they were not gonna let me do it unless I do it for free, which is kind of lame.
And this is your uncle's company.
Yeah, it's my uncle's company. So I'm just I want to help. I want to be beneficial, and I also want to do this thing. I'll just do it. I'll just do the extra work for free on the side and maintain this thing so that I can prove that it's good. And so I did that. But it blew up. It got very popular. And instead of giving me additional funds to be here, let's build out the show more. Let's give you a writer, because I did this in the supply closet, basically. I put a green screen up there and I started filming myself. They were like, oh yeah, we're going to take this IP and we're going to give it to all the other hosts so we can make more of the same type of videos without spending any extra money. And that's when I was like, damn, I have no ownership over this. I have no control over my hours. I have no control over this IP, this thing that I created, right? This thing that I put a lot of thought and effort into and I did for basically free. I don't control it.
It seems like you're describing the third-party leasing arrangement that Amazon is using right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great segue. You're a natural.
As we approach the 2024 election, TYT went live one afternoon, and Anna Kasparian, Cenk's co-host, went on to tell a story about being harassed by 2 homeless men on the street near her house. And as much as this does suck, Anna went on to rage at commenters and people on Twitter, crashing out, calling these people ridiculous and far-left psychos who want to legalize crime. Based, right? I guess. Yeah. The story is sad, but it's absolutely absurd to see her reaction. What Anna did was essentially make homeless people look like they were not human. This was disgusting. Over the coming months, Anna would continue to rage at critics, as well as complain about Hasan's success on numerous occasions, before finally verbally attacking Emma Vigland, co-host of The Majority Report, with Sam Cedar on an afternoon episode of The Young Turks, who's in the game for all of the correct reasons. The majority report didn't take the bait. As the new year started in 2025, this is when Benjamin Dixon left TYT after a few years with the company, making a full video about his experiences, which I will link below in the description. The video makes a lot of staunch claims about Cenk and Anna's love of money, ripping off creators, and straight up not living the ideals they preach. Dixon's departure from the Turks came shortly after another creator and former mayor of Enfield, North Carolina, Mondale Robinson, also left the network, but this time it was live on air, calling out Cenk for the scummy practices and snuggling up with conservatives.
I don't really know what's going on over there, dog. Like I don't know if they had some kind of meeting or was it the Christmas party or what, where they decided that, yo, we need to do what the Joe Scarborough did that cost them so many viewers, to say that we're going to cover Trump, Anna, and Cenk showing up in the way they showing up. Yo, it ain't worth for me. I'm never going to be quiet. So if they say, okay, you can't be on our shows no more, then I don't give a damn, because I'm not going to be quiet about the way that they're showing up right now. You took too much.
How are they showing up, Mondale?
Like MAGA, like an extension of damn Trump. Like,
well,
bro,
no, you need to
this idea that these people ain't white supremacists, like normalizing Trump supporters as if they ain't racist, dog. I am not okay with it.
How did conservatives win? How did MAGA win? Media. How did they win? Media on YouTube, media on Facebook. How did they win? Social media. How did they win? Mainstream media. How did they win? Media. That's how conservatives, that's how MAGA won. And this is exactly the profession of Cenk Uygur, media. And what does he do immediately after Donald Trump wins? He goes to conservative media and he surrenders. He doesn't go to conservative media in order to fight. He doesn't go to conservative media to hold the line. He goes to conservative media in order to gain acceptance.
This week, Francesca Fiorentini has left the Young Turks after attempting to sit down with Cenk and have a conversation, in which Cenk trivialized, obfuscated, and essentially put down Franny and called it absurd to think that Trump would put anyone into camps, all within days of Trump announcing Guantanamo Bay being turned into an immigration holding facility. This then set Anna Kasparian on a warpath once again, and this time, Cenk dropped the act and decided to get in on the mudslinging and obfuscating to the max, attempting to claim that Clinton has done this before. No president in history has done anything like this. Clinton did one thing, and that was keep migrants that were drowning on the crossing from Cuba at Guantanamo until they could be brought into the country. Both Cenk and Anna's Twitters are full of right-wing talking points and trying to convince those on the left that real leftists respect MAGA or some shit like that.
Now, look, I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Yeah,
but continue. Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to
but she's getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing if she's not attacking TYT? But anyway, continue, Cenk.
Yeah. All right. So I have my issues with that, and I made that clear on her account, right? But what I'm more worried about is good folks that are getting into a panic because everyone's telling them the gulags are imminent, including some of our members. In fact, Rep Cat, the political catboy, great member, just wrote in, and I want to read it and then I want to address it because it's so related to this story. They wrote in, so now that we've got concentration camps already, and we're only less than 2 weeks in, are you going to listen to all of us, mostly queer people, sounding the alarms on this and the impending Christian Holocaust? No. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Guys.
It went down like this because this last week, I decided to make some content. And, one of my viewers reminded me that, Cenk Uygur on my show when we debated said that I was crazy for saying that, there would be camps created to house undocumented people. And then, of course, the Guantanamo news is announced. So I made this little slice. You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound all right.
I do want to make it crystal clear, this is a concentration camp, and Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is also talking with the president of El Salvador about shipping not only migrants, but U.S. citizens to El Salvador's mega prison, CCOT. This is on top of signing executive orders almost daily to illegalize queer and trans existence. I will say it again, Donald Trump's regime has all the markings of 1930s Germany, and it sure seems like Cenk is content to be a lapdog for these actions. After the Young Turks' absurd claims and mocking of Franny had Emma Vigland from the Majority Report with Sam Cedar on her podcast, The Bitchuation Room. Vigland is another former TYT employee and went on to talk about her time at TYT and the numerous attacks levied at her, as well as the Majority Report since her departure. The Majority Report has recently denounced the actions of TYT as well, like just about every other leftist voice in media. If you want to deep dive into all of this information, I can't say it enough, go check out the Vanguard, as their entire channel and daily show is all but devoted to covering the TYT crash out as TYT pivots away from grifting to the left to grifting to the right. In closing, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian are only really worried about one thing, and that is money. With a studio that was built out of 100% viewer-based, crowdsourced donations just before COVID, being named Polymarket Studios as we approach the 2024 election, and Hasan Piker admitting that he turned down a $1 million offer from Polymarket, it's pretty safe to assume this to be fact when Cenk responded to Hasan by saying, "You're a better man than me, brother." Thanks for sticking around, and let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you hit like on the video, but until next time, leave me alone.